everybody. Welcome to the Premium Picks YouTube channel. They call me Coach. They call my buddy the A-Train. And tonight we are going to break down UFC Fight Night Vera versus Sandhagen. Before we do, just to give you a quick recap on last week's UFC 286. If you followed our main card picks, we went 4 for 5 on the predictions. And if you include the props, we went 12 for 15. You would have absolutely smashed it if you followed our main card picks. So before we break down the fight card, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into it. First fight on the card, we have a women's fight, Haley Cowan versus Tamirez Vidal. No way to sugarcoat this. This is a very low-level fight. They're both very green. Anything can happen. It's a pick'em, and I wouldn't be too confident on either side. I think if you look at their level of competition, Vidal probably fought the better competition. She has one pretty cool flying knee knockout. But that said, her fight IQ looks really poor. I think I'm leaning Haley Cowan here, but it's a very close fight. I don't think I would be betting on this fight. A-Train, how do you see it? What do you think?
Oh, this is one of those called a 1-800-GAMBLER line fights anyways, to tell you the truth. But yeah, Vidal has the one cool knockout. Cohen, she's a debutante, and I have a big red flags on debutantes, to be honest with you. So I won't be betting her. If I was going to go anywhere, it'll be Vidal. But like Cohen supposedly has the grappling edge, and she'll push her up against the clinch on the cage there. I don't even know if that'll work. Vidal looked pretty solid. She kept Pasquale off her, and she was going to try to take her down because she was wrestling based. So I don't know there either. So there's a lot of red flags. You got to figure out what these girls are going to do. Line movement was a big thing because Haley Cohen opened at plus 190. Now she's sitting at minus 135. So the sharps public are hammering her. So I don't know how to go that way because usually when it goes one way like that, the books have to win on the other end. Vidal's now a plus money, so if I'm gonna take a shot, I'll take a shot on her by KO.
I'm pretty surprised the line moved that much because that means there's actually a lot of money coming in on this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone could be confident on this fight, to be honest. I did start Vidal a couple days ago, and I'm flip-flopping back and forth. I would guess the over 1.5
Oh,
rounds.
for
I
sure,
don't,
for sure.
or finish early at least.
No, I don't think it's gonna finish early. I feel like Cohen's got that background, the toughness, that farm girl toughness they talk about. So I don't feel like, and then everybody will get caught up in that flying knee. But like it's just a flying knee. How often Jose Aldo flying knee Cub Swanson, and when's the next time you flying knee anybody?
Exactly. I mean, low level MMA, anything can happen.
Yep, man.
Proceed with caution.
Yep, exactly. On to the next one.
We got Vinicius Salvador versus Victor Altamirano. This is actually a fun fight. They both have a path to victory here. If Salvador can keep this standing, he's got a shot here. It seems like everybody's on the Altamirano side. I kind of think he needs to get the takedown to win. And he can, but again, it's a pick'em for a reason. I'm not. There's another fight. I'm not sure. I think this one will be much funner, much funner to watch. What do you got? What do you think?
Well, I think I have some leans. The leans is violence. I think the under 2.5 in 17 of 18 fights Salvador had, it's been in the distance. So 17 of 18, that says sprinkle at least on a parlay under 2.5. Now you go even under 1.5, he's 10 for 16, Salvador. Still a pretty good percentage, my friend. So I would, that'll probably be close to plus money, if not, right? So that's another good spot on your like more high risk kind of plays. Fight doesn't start round 3. You can get that on DraftKings when they drop props. That's another one because even there's another stat when he doesn't even get into round 3. Most of those are first and second round finishes. So he's definitely one of those guys. If fight doesn't go the distance, I'm gonna probably put that in some sort of violence parlay. of some sort for this card. So those are my leans there. He's a good striker, Salvador, and I think if Alta Moreno could get his butt KO'd big time here, but he is Mexican. Mexicans have chins,
Got that.
and that's where I don't know. That's the only thing that holds me back. But you know what? I feel like this fight's going to end in the distance, though. That's my biggest lean. If you want to play this fight, go in the distance.
So your lean though would be Salvatore to finish.
Salvador to finish by KO or Alta Moreno to get him on the ground and either pound him out or sub. So those are the two things. I can't lean any which way. I mean, gun to my head, Alta Moreno is more well rounded. So yeah, that's
That
probably my lean. But
everybody that I've talked to, they're all picking Alta Marino, and I think Salvador has a very live shot if he can stuff the takedown. But I think it's a fun fight, and I think, like you said, violence. It's gonna be a good fight.
Oh yeah.
All right, moving on. We got Manuel Torres versus Trey Ogden. Again, it's the lines are pretty close to a pick'em. I think Torres has moved a little bit. He's moving into that favorite position. Ogden's got a chance by submission if you think he can catch it. I don't think he'll get it. Man, these fights are tough to predict. They're not easy. What do you think here?
Well, there's lots of red flags on Torres, right? So like he hasn't been pushed in the grappling realm at all. And the one time he was pushed in the grappling realm, he got knee barred. Who the hell gets knee barred, right? Even Mikhaev didn't even get knee barred. He let his knee break, walk around limping, but he didn't get knee barred. So that's a tough one. And it's all first round finishes for this guy. So what happens when he gets in the second round? Who knows? I don't know. Nobody actually knows. So I mean, that's big time there. Ogden is well rounded. Like what he did to Zellhuber last fight, nobody like Zellhuber was like everyone's darling on that card. He was supposed to like own this guy, and he looks solid. And what he has is that fight IQ, the fight IQ. So the way I see it is, if this man Ogden can survive the first round, live bet his ass in the second round because he's probably going to beat this guy. Otherwise, he's going to get starched in the first round. That's what.
Picking Ogden, I think the only way he win, and he can, is probably submission. No, like, is it worth the prop? Are you thinking money line? Are you thinking prop? Or
well, he can win by decision too, right? I mean, unless this guy goes down.
15 minutes. I don't think he's going to outpoint him on the feet. Like,
but I also don't think that guy Torres can last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
this is another inside the distance one. It's either this guy's going to starch him in the first round, or he's going to get like ridden out and then pounded or subbed, like you said. So I go with Torres because he's the better talent, but I'm not going to count Ogden out of this fight.
Yeah, I feel the exact same. Moving on, and speaking of inside the distance, we have EJ Vergara versus Daniel Da Silva. This one should be wild as long as it lasts. Everybody, including myself, would say Daniel Da Silva is going to get finished here, but Daniel Da Silva actually comes out guns blazing. So he does have a chance in that first round. He'll come out going for it. And coming off of 3 straight finish losses in a row, you got to think he's got to be prepared here, because if he loses again, that's it. He's cut. Like, he's got to make something happen.
Yep.
And I think CJ is as good as everybody thinks. Like, he's a minus 275 favorite. Maybe he should be, but he's not that great. Like, he scores some finishes here and there, but I'm telling you, he's not that good. Not that Daniel Da Silva is, but I think the best play here is not to go the distance. Somebody's getting finished, probably under 1.5. What do you got?
Well, Daniel Da Silva's that killer be killed fighter, right? So he's going to go for it in that first round if CJ can handle it. One thing Vergara has shown in his fights is durability. So he has shown durability. I mean, it took him to the third round to get finished in his debut there. So, like, I don't know. He can be broken, though. So when Da Silva gets broken, he's broken. He's one of those fighters that just gives up, right? So that's where the 1.5 comes into play. In the 2.5, and the fight goes the distance, just ladder the whole play on that. But Vergara inside the distance, he should be the better fighter. Da Silva he has a puncher's chance, but I'll take Vergara inside the distance for this one. Probably take him down, pound him out.
Yep. No, I agree. And these prelims, a lot of them are so close and so hard to predict.
Yep.
This is one of the prelims that I will be betting for sure. For
Mhm.
sure, I will be betting this fight. Probably two ways. One, under 2.5, and one, CJ under 1.5, maybe. Like, I don't think it's going to go long, and it should be fun. This should be a fun one.
As long as it
Uh,
lasts.
yeah, absolutely. Moving on, we got Trevin Giles versus Preston Parsons. Another absolute pick 'em. The line is dead even, I believe, unless something's changed. It was dead
Yep.
even. Trevin Giles is your more well-rounded fighter. He's probably your more conservative, safer pick. Preston Parsons is maybe your more dangerous guy. Like, I think he has the higher finishing percentage, but he hasn't fought the same level of competition. Yeah, it's always tempting to bet these guys with the finishes, but until they finish someone who's good, this one's tough for me. Trevin Giles isn't a guy who's just going to go down, just going to get finished like that. I kind of like the over here personally. It's another one I go back and forth in. I started on Parsons, and then I looked at that level of competition, and now Giles is starting to creep back up on me. I think the over for me. What do you got?
Well, Trevin Giles' fight IQ sucks. That's what I got. But he is still a pretty good fighter. Like he was doing some things against Michael Morales until he was put to sleep. And Michael Morales was a young talent, right? But you got to remember that Giles, like you said, has beaten Brendan Allen in LFA, Roman Delitse. He's beaten Ryan Spann by decision. Like Giles is the more experienced fighter by far. And to be honest, this shouldn't even be a pick 'em. Like if Giles didn't fade in the third round there, like against Mearshot, and just like jump into guard against the guard player. Instead, those are the bad IQ moves I'm talking about. So you live with the good and the bad, but Giles is a far better fighter here. Laying the money line on Giles is, I feel like, a decent bet. Parsons, was he beaten Elder by decision? He's a finisher. He comes into the UFC and he decisions Elder. Who's Elder? Like that's my take on that. Like if he's a finisher, he finishes. When McGregor and those guys came in as finishers, they just popped guys right away. All the good guys, that the young kid that's on the next card, the young Mexican kid, he's 19. He comes in as some submission artist, but he goes out there and he finishes guys, right? So that's the difference, right? This guy Parsons supposed to be a finisher, didn't finish anyone. Trevin Giles is all right. I think I'll have a little Trevin Giles, and I do believe the overs are the good moves. So I'll see what Trevin Giles by decision is. But yeah, I got Trevin Giles. I think he's the better fighter. You got to go with the better fighter.
Yeah, more proven. Those are good wins that you mentioned. Those are definitely good wins. Moving on, we got Steven Peterson versus Lucas Alexander. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know a whole lot on Lucas Alexander. I know Steven Peterson. He is notoriously tough. I don't know if that's something you really want to be known for, but he's tough. He can take a beating. He keeps coming. And I believe this line, again, it's another pick 'em, I believe. I don't bet on people I don't know. They got to pass the eye test for me personally. So I will not be betting this fight. You have any feelings or leans here?
I don't have any leans, but I have a little bit of background on Lucas Alexander. So he took that fight with Joe Anderson Brito on short notice. So I feel like we can't take too much from that. So this is like his debut here, I would say. Right now, Steven Peterson, like you said, durable as hell. He does mix in a little wrestling, which is good in this fight because that's what's going to win him this fight. Because if he actually, I've watched some Alexander tape. If you watch his striking, he's quite technical. He has good defense on the feet. He's quite technical in the feet. It's where he gets beaten is on the ground. 3 losses, 10-3, all three by sub. Peterson by sub, sneaky play. If you think Peterson's going to win, then he might sub him. He might decision him too. So they do the double line. There's the double method of victory, submission, decision. They haven't dropped the odds on that, but that's also a play. You'll get better odds than just taking them on money line. But yeah, I mean, Lucas Alexander could definitely be the minute winner here if this stays on the feet. So that's why this is one of those fights where you don't really know. Can he keep him off the ground? If he can keep him off the ground from taking him down, I think he can win. There's a shot. There's a shot here. I am going to take a chance on Alexander. I'm not going to bet him. I'm just going to say, like, there's a shot here. Peterson's not the greatest wrestler in the world. If this stays standing, I think he loses.
Yeah, I mean, Peterson's not the greatest at anything. Like I said, he's known for eating punches and not going down. Like
Oh, yeah.
he's just tough. And like I said, I don't know enough of Alexander. I would be guessing the over here, but I'll just be watching this one.
I need to.
Moving on, the last prelim, we have Daniel Pineda versus Tucker Lutz. Pineda, the most inconsistent guy on the roster. At his best, he looks like a killer. I've seen him with some great wins, and then sometimes he just gasses and gets finished himself. Like he's all over the place. So I think he's got great submission skills. I've seen him with some great grappling. But again, I almost have to see him at the weigh-in to see how he looks physically, to see what kind of shape, how he is mentally, because he's also popped a couple times too, I believe. I think twice, I believe. So he's getting older. The guy he's fighting is way younger. Again, I don't know a whole lot about him either. I just know youth is on his side. He's got momentum. I don't know if I'll be betting this fight, but what do you think?
Pineda, well, he's 37 now. That's old for like his weight class, big time. So it's 155, I believe.
Yeah.
And the two pops. So he popped. Everyone wondered why he was away, and then he came back, right? And he looked like shit. That's because he's not on the roids anymore. And I feel like that happened to like guys like Alistair Overeem and some other guys in the UFC, and that's why they lost that next successive fight after coming back after they got popped. You know what I mean? So Lutz isn't much of a finisher. He's more of like an American wrestler, striker sort of guy. But he's been a decisionator in the UFC. I think he's tough though. So basically you're gonna get 3 minutes out of Pineda in round one. He's got to survive the 3 minutes. And then he's got to take him down or pound him out on the feet, striking. So it's Tucker Lutz, but I'm going to sneaky play him inside the distance. And I probably will take a shot on Tucker Lutz inside the distance, even though he never finishes inside the distance. I feel like this fight just dictates Tucker Lutz inside the distance. So yeah, that's my play.
And even Pineda, if he is going to, like when he puts on these rare performances where he's at his best, he's going to score a finish too. So it's almost like if Pineda's in shape, he might have a chance for a sneaky finish. If he's not, he's probably going to get finished.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's good advice there. All right, guys, moving on to the main card. First fight on the main card, we have Njokuani versus Albert Duraev. My boy is Chitty. I love watching this guy fight. He can bang, he can crack. If it goes late, I start to get scared. But this is his fight to lose here. He should light him up on the feet. Albert's looking old. He lost his last fight to Buckley. Didn't look great. He did show toughness. It wasn't like he got knocked out. The doctors stopped it because his eye was mangled. So he still got toughness. But I really like Chitty here. I think he lights him up on the feet. I mean, together, all their losses are pretty much finishes. So this fight should finish. This fight should not go the distance. I like Chitty inside the distance. You see anything different, or what do you like here?
No, I see it pretty much the same way. Chitty's more accurate from distance. He has quite a bunch of knockdowns already in the UFC. He beat Dusko, but Dusko's Chitty. He beat Barrio, but Barrio's supposedly like really durable, but he kicked his ass. He was done in like 20 seconds or something like that. That was crazy. And then for all intents and purposes, he beat RoboCop. RoboCop had a big hole in his head. Any
Yeah.
any other like ref might have stopped that fight, but RoboCop's a tough SOB, came back, beat Chitty. Chitty's not the most durable of all guys, but he's durable enough. Duraev, he had that first fight. I had a big bet on him against Kopylov, some sort of like two-man parlay that night, and he scared the crap out of me. He didn't show any punching power when he had Kopylov really hurt in that first round. A guy his size should have finished him. But then it went on. He showed good wrestling, but that's his issue. If he can't put the wrestling or grappling to work in the fight, then he's screwed because he is lost on his feet, right? So now Chidi's got a 75% takedown defense. And duraev, oh, what do you know? 21% takedown accuracy. That again screams Chidi should be able to keep it on the feet again. So I don't see the wrestling edge that bad here. I mean, Darius is the better wrestler, of course. He's got the V at the end of his name. But it's the Ev, not the OV. So, you know, I think Chidi wins. Chidi wins inside the distance. Chidi by KO, under 2.5, under 1.5. Fight doesn't go the distance. All in play here.
Yeah, and I think speed's going to be the big difference. I think he's way faster. That's what I see. But agreed, 100%. He's better on the feet. The fight should mostly play out on the feet. So I agree. I got Chitty 100%. All right. Next on the main card, we have Alex Perez versus Manuel Kape. Now, I'm going to be extremely biased here. I love Manuel. He's my boy. Again, I'm very excited about this fight. This is my second favorite fight on the card. Perez, very tough. Obviously, he's coming off 2 finished losses, but they were to the best the division has to offer, Pantoja and Figueiredo. Can't really knock him there, but I believe they were both the first round, if I remember correctly. Whereas Kape went 3 rounds with Pantoja in a pretty much a stalemate, a pretty boring fight. Maybe he lost on leg kicks, but that fight was more of a low output, strange performance. And Kape or Cape, however you pronounce it, I say Kape. Kape has done that before, so it's a little bit concerning. He is low output sometimes, but he's a freak athlete. He hits super hard. He's very good on the feet. And people think that, oh, I think you could probably just take him down and out grapple him. I don't think you can let that easily. Like I said, it's not just the athleticism, but he actually does have some pretty good sweeps and grappling moves. Like he doesn't. I'm not worried about him being out grappled. I'm not worried about him being taken down and held down. So I think this fight is primarily going to play on the feet, and I think this fight is his to lose. The only way I see him losing this fight is if he's tentative and low output, and he has done that before, so it's a little bit concerning. But I got to think that he's going to starch this guy, to be honest. And that's not a knock on Perez. He's a good fighter. And the odds are actually shifting a little bit towards Alex now because originally Kape was a minus 220, and I believe now he's only a minus 160. So the line's moving a little bit. But I'm betting on this fight for sure. Like I said, I'm biased. I really like the guy. But I think he gets it done. I think conservative money line, and honestly, it wouldn't shock me if he gets the finish inside the distance. But that's my take on this fight. What do you got?
I got Kape too. I think he's coming into his own now. Perez, he always had these. He's always been so inactive. Like first fight, 1 fight every 2 years, 1 fight a year, something like that. And he's always pulling out for these various reasons, like can't make weight and all this other stuff. So he's always got this shit going on behind the scenes, right? So I don't always know what kind of mindset this guy's coming into the cage with. Now he's come off those 2 quick losses, one to Pantoja and the other to Davis and Figueiredo. Kape just came off a win to David Dvorak. David Dvorak, that's a good fighter. Ever since David Dvorak came into UFC, I've been betting David Dvorak. He's been on my like safe ticket. You know, he was even on my safe ticket to beat Kape, and Kape showed me up that night because he put on quite a performance against Dvorak there. Now, his first loss to Pantoja and then second loss to Nicolau. He did lose the Pantoja fight, but barely. And he actually took him down, wrestled with him. He wasn't scared of Pantoja. Pantoja manhandled Perez on the ground. Just no MMA math here, but like it's just how he showing that he belongs in the division. He shows that he belongs to get this fight, right? So that's all it proves. And the Nicolau fight, I thought he actually won. Nicolau squeaked that out, but then Nicolau showed me up the next couple times because he put on some pretty damn good performances. But speaking about Kape, yeah, both guys are finishers. Perez, for all intents and purposes, is a finisher. He finishes people. Kape, before the first 2 snoozers when he came into UFC, is a finisher. Last few fights, he finished them. Flying knee to Ode Osborne. Sucks, um, but yeah, my lean is actually under. Fight doesn't go the distance. And Manal Cop, money line conservative, but by KO if you want to take a prop.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, I'm on him for sure all the way. Like I said, I'm biased, but I have him by knockout. That's my take on this fight. I will be betting this fight. I feel good about it. That's it.
I think it's what they featherweights, so it's a 8 finishes for featherweights this year so far. Then they're the like least favored ones fights to finish. You know what I mean? So it's like 8-0 and so 8-0 or 8-1 or something like that for finishes. So these fights have been finishing. So I mean, under seems like a play too.
Let's do it. Let's smash it. All right. Next up on the main card, we have Andrea Lee versus Macy the Future Barber. Macy Barber is not the future. I'm a Macy Barber hater. I'm sorry to say it right now. I'm not big on her. Should she win this fight? Probably, but I don't think she's that great. If anything, I almost want to play the dog here. I am not big on Macy Barber. Unfortunately, both girls have lost to Roxanne Modafferi, so that doesn't look great for either of them. But Macy Barber, she's a good hammer. She's a good pressure fighter. If she can get you down and be a bully, she's effective. She can put a beating on someone like that. But she's not the greatest wrestler. And if she can't get you down, she's not that great on the feet either. So again, I'm not that big on Macy Barber at all. I think she absolutely robbed Miranda Maverick, and I don't think Miranda's that great herself. So that was not a good look at all. And again, like I think she is a good pressure fighter, almost like a Julianne Miller. Like if she gets on top of you, she will pound you out on the ground. But look what happened last week. She couldn't get her down, and if she can't get her down, I don't like Macy Barber on the feet at all. Lee is tough. She's not great herself, but she is tough. This fight, to me, it has over written all over it. I don't see any early finish. I probably don't see any finish, period, but I definitely don't see an early finish. So I think it's going to be a close fight. And I'm tempted to pick Lee, probably because I am not big on Macy Barber at all. But I see a close fight here. What you got?
So Adria Lee is actually a pretty well-rounded fighter when she wants to show up. So she has that karate base, sort of like Muay Thai style, like just straight up. She's really straight when she's striking. She's a pretty good distance striker. And she gets into sort of like the flow state when she's striking, and then she's pretty dangerous. She showed in like her Shevchenko fight that she can fight on the ground as well. I don't think she's taken down Macy Barber. At the same time, like you said, Macy Barber's wrestling is not that great. Is she taking down Andrea Lee? But Andrea Lee's takedown defense is kind of shoddy, to be honest with you. But for Barber to get her down, she's gonna have to get her into the clinch. That's where Barber does the best work, is in the clinch, right? So if Barber can't get her into the clinch or get her down, then what's going to happen? They're going to strike. And Macy Barber's like shadow boxing extraordinaire. Like she's punching Grasso from 10 feet away. Like it was shameful. And it is
That's
shameful how she got that Maverick fight, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know,
that,
man.
that was a robbery, and I'm just thinking about some of those memes and those clips of Barber just punching air, not anywhere near her opponent. Oh my god!
She's just the poor man's Caitlin Chukagian without the fucking yeah, yes, or whatever you want to call him. But
Yep, yep.
like, all right, well, over's written all over this. I feel like if you had $1 million, you could put it on over 1.5 and you cash big. They
Oh yeah.
probably wouldn't let you. It'll probably be minus 400, but it's gonna hit. Like it's gonna hit. You want a safe parlay piece, like whatever it is, minus 800, minus nine. Props haven't dropped, but that's gonna hit for sure. Like 1,000. I take my whole bankroll, put on it, but it's not worth it if something stupid happens, like her toe gets stubbed or something dumb like that. But still a good parlay piece. Over in the decision for sure. I mean, I see Lee at like 150, 160, 170. If that somehow gets to plus 200, I might take the shot on Lee at plus 200. I mean, 175 is pretty tempting as well. But anything lower than plus 175 is just going to leave the fight alone. But there's nothing but dog or pass written all over this one.
Yeah, women's MMA guys. I enjoy watching them. I'm not a hater, not hating. But guys, the favorites lose all the time. Don't make a big bet. They lose all the time. The over almost always hits. They're not finishers. They're not big knockout artists. You might catch a submission here and there for sure, but the over's the play. Don't go big. And yeah, that's basically this fight summed up. All right. Next up on the main card, we have Nate the Great Landwehr versus Austin Lingo. Nate is a considerable favorite. I believe he's close to minus 300. He definitely has the better wins. I don't know if he's minus 300 justifiable. Austin Lingo is extremely tough. If anything, he is tough. So Nate's the better fighter. He should win. I don't think I would be betting on him at minus 300. Part of me wants to say bet the over, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'll be betting this fight, to be perfectly honest. I don't like him at minus 300. I think he should win the fight. What do you got?
Well, he's down to minus 225. So obviously, some people are on Lingo now. Lingo is a slick boxer. He's a pretty good boxer. When he was knocking guys out before he even got to the UFC, he was killing guys. He looked like a real prospect, power striker. He's got an 80% takedown defense. Nate is the better wrestler, but he's also a guy that gives up submission for position, kill or be killed. As like in the Arosa fight, they were both going at it, and boom, he gets put out, right? Herbert Burns, he makes a big mistake, boom, knee. And Herbert Burns sucks, right? Like Herbert Burns wasn't good. And to make Herbert Burns look so good, so obviously there's red flags on Nate. Now, minus 225 worthy, that's not a killer be killed fighter. Like, that's not what you're laying on a killer be killed fighter. And Nate, in all of his fights that he has won, like the Onama fight and the Ludovic Klein fight, and those fights that he's won in the UFC, he was a plus 300 on those. Like, he was the big underdog. So now he's the big favorite. This is like bias. Like, this is bias from like what happened in his last fight against Onama. This line has so much bias in it. Should be closer. I say Lingo. Lingo because of the money line. If that's where the value is, it's on Lingo. If you don't want to bet Lingo, then don't bet the fight. But if you're gonna go at Landry at minus 225, he's a crazy wild man. I don't know.
Have the props dropped on a Lingo knockout? Now I know that's might sound crazy, but like you said, he has the boxing,
Not
and
yet.
Nate has been chin checked before. Herbert
Mm.
isn't exactly a striker. He's a grappler.
No, what is it? Today's Tuesday. Props will probably drop on Thursday, so it hasn't dropped yet. So we'll see. But Lingo by knockout's not so bad. He's supposed to be this big knockout artist since he came in. He's not shown it. He's fought a whole bunch of wrestlers like Yusuf Salal. That's a bad look on your record, but like it's a shot, right? At plus 190, it's a shot because I feel like Landwehr definitely could win this fight, but that's not where the money lays. If you want to lay the money on this fight, go underdog.
Exactly. No value on Nate. Don't do it. Enjoy the fight or sprinkle the dog. It's up to you guys. All right, guys. Moving on to the co-main event, we have Holm versus Yana Santos. Realistically, this is not a great co-main event, guys. I don't mean to sound negative, but this has all of the everything aligns here to be a snoozer of a fight. To be perfectly honest, this has over written all over it. It has decision written all over it. Holm's what I believe 41, maybe 42, 41. I think
Yep.
she is a point fighter. She is not coming to knock your head off. She is coming to jab you, kick your legs, dance around the cage, and she's going to do it. I'm very confident she should win this fight. Actually, I shouldn't even say very confident. I'm not. She's 41. I'm not very confident. I'm very confident this will be a long, drawn out. Oh, my camera's gone there. Long, drawn out decision or over fight. I'm going to take Holm. I'm going to trust that she can still pitter patter and prance around the cage, but I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to enjoy it one bit. This should not be the co-main event. Yana Santos, formerly Yana Kunitskara or whatever they called her. She's okay. She's not great. She's not really a finisher herself. So it's actually two similar styles. She got smoked by Irene Aldana, but Holly Holm's not that kind of fighter. So I don't think that fight's going to look anything like that at all. I see a point fight here, a point spar. How do you see this, A-Train?
I see this as the same thing. So I would look at the decision both sides when the props drop. Like sometimes, like, do you think that Kunitskaya isn't has a chance at a decision? I don't know. But if you're gonna go with the Holly Holm side, you're gonna go with Holly Holm decision because you're gonna get plus money on that, as opposed to like Holly knocking her out. I can't even remember Holly knocking anyone out. Like, oh well, yeah, Ronda Rousey.
Beth Correa.
Bell, yes, with the head kick. Yes, but that's it. That's it. Anyway, but she's not your normal 41-year-old. If you ever look at her Instagram, she looks like she's ripped. A lot more ripped than I ever would be.
Questionable. Hormones are questionable.
Well, they say that she's been tested the most out of all the UFC ladies. So USADA's always knocking at her door, she says. But you can't. She's got veins coming out of her. Like, she's crazy. Anyway, striking is slowing down in her age, though. She used to be a little bit more high volume. Now she's low volume. I find that she's leading a little bit more on the grappling edge for most of these fights. So she lost to Ketlin Vera. I lost a good chunk on that, decent chunk, because it was part of a parlay. I guess they saw Vieira's way, but I felt like she had most of the control situations in that fight. Now, if you want to do MMA math, Vieira got beat by Kunitskaya / Santos. And Vieira was, if you remember that fight, look back at it, Vieira was on top of Kunitskaya the whole fight, but Kunitskaya was the more busier fighter from the bottom. So there was that turnover from UFC when it's like the top riding out kind of deal. Now the aggression really pays the price. So that shows there. But if you really want to do MMA math, like you said, Irene Aldana knocked the crap out of Yana Kunitskaya last time. But Holly Holm decisioned Irene Aldana just 2 fights before the Ketlin Vieira fight. So what do you do? Anyways, the over is the play. I like Holly Holm. She's the better fighter out of the two. She's way better. Yana, what does she do? She's a generalist. Not even that great at wrestling. She had problems with Yulia Stoliarenko or Stoliastenko or whatever you want to call her. So Holly, if you're gonna play her, Holly by decision, and you better hope you're getting plus money. If you're not getting plus money on the decision, then don't play that decision. Don't play that fight.
Yeah, I mean, again, women's MMA, don't go crazy on it. I would say over 2.5 is a guarantee. Over 3.5 is probably a guarantee. Over 4.5 is probably a guarantee. Like, this fight has decision written all over it. I can't picture a finish here. But yeah, bet the over. Don't bet big. Learn your lessons from the last few weeks. The women's fight, anything can happen. But Holly Holm's got to be the pick here. Has to be.
For all intents and purposes, Holly Holm has the better resume, better experience, better skills, better everything. This isn't the same as picking one of those like the Lipsky upset the other week and then the Shevchenko upset and all those upsets. This one's a little bit different. There's a big skill gap. Like Grasso wasn't a skill gap to Shevchenko. Shevchenko just had that chink in the armor. She was just like everyone thought she was unbeatable. And then Lipsky beat who she beat a couple of days, like JJ Aldrich. I lost money on that. But like yeah, JJ Aldrich wasn't a great fight. The skill gap wasn't that large as we thought. Like, but this is a large skill gap here because Holly's decorated for her entire UFC tenure. Multi-time going to the championship, winning the championship off the supposed women's GOAT, Ronda Rousey, at the time. Now it's Amanda Nunez. But like, yeah, I mean, and then what's Santos ever done? What's Kunitskaya ever done? Nothing.
She hasn't been active either. I mean, you could go with the route, oh, Holm's getting older, she's due to slow down, but Santos doesn't really have momentum. It's not like she's being active doing anything. So I think it's pretty clear cut. I'd be very surprised if Holm lost this fight.
And she just had a baby too.
Okay, yeah.
This guy just had a baby, and fighters that come off from having a baby usually lose their next fight. Mackenzie Dern lost her next fight. There's a couple other. Misha Tate won hers, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's see. I
All
feel
right.
like it's Holly Holm pick.
You just gave Santos an excuse now when she loses that fight. Oh, I just had a baby.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Holly Holm decision. Bet the over or don't bet at all. But it seems we're both very confident. Holly Holm late in the fight. All right, guys, on to the main event. We have Corey Sandhagen versus Marlon Cheeto Vera. You know what? The card as a whole isn't fantastic, but this is a fantastic main event. This is a very good fight. I'm very excited for this fight, and it's a close fight. I have to lean Corey Sandhagen. He's the rangier guy. He's the more output. He's just as tough. He's got the cardio. Vera gives away too many rounds for me. He's always losing until he comes back and wins. And I don't think that's going to work against Corey Sandhagen. I mean, all the power to Cheeto. He seems to have gotten this far on toughness and attitude, and it served him well. But I think he hits the wall here. I've never been overly impressed by his striking. I mean, he does have good defense. He defends fairly well, but he's getting these front kicks to the face on guys. Like, I don't see that working on Corey Sandhagen. His boxing's not phenomenal. It's good enough. I mean, it's got him here, but I like Corey Sandhagen to outpoint him here. I think it will be a long fight again, another over again. But I like Corey Sandhagen all day here. But it's a close to a pick 'em for a reason. They're both tough guys. This is a top of the division fight. If Vera wins, he's probably earned a title shot. If Sandhagen wins, he's still got a couple to go. But this is a great fight. What do you got, A Train?
Well, I like Sandhagen too, and there's some stats that actually back the whole Sandhagen thing up. Marlon, first of all, gives away the first round. He's going to lose the first round. 1000%. He's lost the first round, and that's just what he does. Sandhagen, he just beat Song, and he put a beating on him, and he could have arguably beaten Jan. That was a close fight, and he could have arguably also beaten Dillashaw. That was even closer than the Jan fight. Like, I think Dillashaw got gifted a decision there. So, it's been some bad luck for Corey. So the things Marlon really focuses on is like he waits and he kind of like gauges his opponent, and then as the rounds go on, then he finds the holes. And once they slow down, Marlon comes forward and does his Marlon Cheeto, I'll take over the fight thing because Rob Font, for all intents and purposes, winning that fight for most of those rounds. He's winning 3 minutes and then Marlon drops him. Marlon wins the round, right? 4 minutes of Font winning and then gets dropped in the last minute. That's a Marlon round. You have to score it for him. And that's how he won that fight. Font threw 100 and some odd significant strikes. He hit Marlon a lot. Marlon's very hittable. And now that's where it comes to distance strikes. Marlon throws about 4.8 distance strikes, and he absorbs about 6. So he's in the minus, right? So he's very hittable. Corey is a plus, throws about 7, absorbs about 5. So Corey's plus under, so he has a way better striking defense. So Corey's like less hittable. So Marlon always goes for those power shots. He doesn't fight with any volume of any sort. And like you said, low volume. Corey's really high volume. And Vera could win this fight if he'd wrestle Corey. But how much times have we seen Marlon Vera wrestle? Because how did Dillashaw actually win that? How did Jan win those fights, those close fights? It's the grappling that beat Corey Sandhagen in those fights. How does Corey Sandhagen's last loss in forever? It was to a grappler. It was Aljamain Sterling taking him down like he was nothing and just tapping him. So he doesn't really lose to strikers because he is a good striker. He was toe to toe with Calvin Kattar. And like, Corey should go toe to toe with Marlon. And if Marlon can't knock him out, he's going to lose a decision because he's too stubborn to grapple. If he would grapple, this fight would be super duper close. But I feel like Marlon's too stubborn to grapple. Corey outpoints him to a decision. Over 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. You can play all of them. Play the Corey money line and I like the decision. I want to see what the decision drops at because sometimes they'll drop them both at like sometimes they make a mistake and they might drop them both at like 200 or Marlon at like 200 and then Corey at like, because when Dillashaw fought Corey, the decision on both sides was plus 500. So you put $100 on both sides. If it goes to decision, you're coming out plus 300 on the bet, regardless of who wins. You could also get that on DraftKings, the decision. So that would have been like plus 600 or whatever it would be. So, that's the way to go at it, I think. I do those special bets sometimes if I think it's going to be really over for sure. You kill the over and then you kill the decision as well. So that would be my play. Corey Sandhagen by decision, volume-based striking battle.
So I think that's bang on pretty much. I think the exact same way I saw it. Now, can you see a world that Sandhagen gasses a little bit and Vera comes on at the end? Like, do you see this possibly a 3-2 close fight, or you think Sandhagen's going to run away 5-0, 4-1? Like, what do you, close, not close? What do you think?
It could be close because Marlon, third round on, Marlon's a different character. But if he gives away the first 2 rounds, which he probably will, and then Corey just has to win one, I guess. But it has to be one runaway round. But see, like Marlon's a moment winner, not a minute winner. Corey's a minute winner, doesn't really, well, he wins moments too, like the Edgar knockout and stuff like that. But he's minute winner and moment winner where Marlon doesn't win minutes. He doesn't control. He doesn't throw a lot of volume, so he doesn't win minutes. So that's my problem with Marlon winning minutes. I don't see how he's going to win minutes here. He's going to have to knock out Corey Sandhagen to win.
He's not going to knock out Corey Sandhagen.
I don't think so.
And you know what? Like, a lot of people are big on the Cheeto Vera. Oh, he's a finisher. Yes, he's finished his last few fights, I guess. But I'm sorry, but Dominic Cruz is not an elite fighter anymore. If anything, I don't even think he's a good fighter anymore. Like, it's a good name on your resume. I think he's a fight everybody would want to take because I think he's not very risky. I mean, he doesn't hit hard. He just kind of runs away and pitter patters you. And he was losing to Dominic Cruz. Marlon Vera was losing to Dominic Cruz.
I had a bet on Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz by decision was like plus 275, plus 375. I think it was plus 275. And I had a bet on it. And it looked pretty good going into the, he lost the third round, Dominic Cruz, but he was still up 2-1. I'm like, oh, let's just take one of these next 2 rounds. And then he put his face into his foot. Yeah, I wouldn't say that he kicked his face. I'd like he bent down and Vera just, everyone's like, oh, he set it up. I mean, one of his finishes were against O'Malley. I feel like Sean would put on a different fight against Cheeto this time, right? You know what I mean? It'd be a much different fight. And that's the fight to probably make. If Cheeto doesn't win this fight, put him up against Sean again.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Marlon's not a minute winner. He's a moment winner. And he probably will have a moment or two in this fight. I'm sure he will land 1 or 2 big shots. But like you said, I think Corey wins 20 out of the 25 minutes.
Yeah, he's the minute winner, man, by far. So I don't know if it's going to be 4 rounds or how the judges see it because judges are fucked.
Texas judges.
Yeah, there's going to be some screw jobs here, the Texas screw jobs. But, well, that's a wrap, I guess. That's next week's a good card, buddy.
Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Coming up in a minute, we're going to show you a little slide with all our passes, with all our conservative plays, and with all our high-risk plays. Like I said, last card, we smashed it. We're hoping to smash it again. This card, it's not the greatest card for betting, but there are some spots, and we're going to find them, and we're going to show you them on the next slide that we put up there for you. Until Saturday, take care of yourselves. Again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Thank you for watching the Premium Picks YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys Saturday.